Bom dia, Portugal!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, Carl Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, a live stream and the podcast. How was your weekend? Do let us know. And we are, of course, at that moment in the week, aren't we, where James arrives at 9 in about 27 minutes from now. There's a ticker tape to prove it. And we'll have that slightly awkward conversation. Hola, bon dia, tudo bem? Which you may be familiar with other people. We have decided to push beyond that, as mentioned last week on the show. And James and I will be launching a new venture to help you speak basic Portuguese. Here we go. O elefante na sala, learn Portuguese. It's the elephant in the room, and we are addressing it. And in fact, that little elephant there is actually helping us learn Portuguese. I'll just give you a very quick flash of what we're up to. You see, that's the moment there, isn't it? Today, my friends Carl and James are meeting. Hola, bom dia, James. Tudo bem? Hola, bom dia, Carl. Sim, muito bem. Obrigado. And then this bit. Yikes, what do I say now? So the elephant in the room is going to be helping us. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun with this as it unfolds. If this is the year for you, when you're going to be speaking more Portuguese, you're going to be bowling into the cafe, the restaurant, or any other public place in Portugal and speaking your best Portuguese. If you're vowing to do that this year, we're right behind you. In fact, we're right next to you, shoulder to shoulder, side by side. So do let us know what sort of scenarios you're interested in us decoding and assisting with. Decoding and assisting, that's also with well-being. I can see we've got a God Squad tip of the day from Coach Turner. Thank you, Coach, and thank you for the video, which I will make into smaller segments. And I think it's time for a little bit of a rejig of the God Squad tip of the day resources over there at GMP VIP. So again, if this is the year you're deciding to take yourself on from a health and fitness point of view, we have got a fantastic resource for you that I think is getting on for a couple of years old now, that has been honed over that time by Coach Turner with a very basic and very thoughtful introduction to gentle fitness for bon viveurs and the elder, the aging, in such a way that you can hopefully, fingers crossed, if all goes well, prolong your health or your useful years by implementing some physical fitness routines and awareness into your daily life. And I'm very grateful to Coach Turner for being the genesis, the mentor, the driving force behind the God Squad tips of the day and the program that we have as a downloadable resource at GMP VIP. Cheers, Coach. And you were first in at 7:54 with the Bon Dia Gumpers. If I remember correctly, today is meant to be the most depressing day of the year. Well, actually, no. I looked it up to see if I could talk about it today, because we've got a very interesting guest joining us on Thursday. That'll be Bryn Tomes. And I'll spin in Bryn Tomes when we talk about mindful moments this morning. We've got a T-Duck vacuum again. So if you've been squirreling away, saving up any dad jokes or pithy insights, this is a good morning to crowbar them into. Well, you don't need to crowbar them. You can just drop them, just leave them at the front door, and we'll pick them up. Because there's a T-Duck vacuum after a brace of very good content on Friday. Those lies we tell our children. Bryn Tomes, also a parent coach. So he might not like those lies we tell our children. We'll find out when we see him on Thursday, but we've got a message from him as well, which I think you may find of interest, and looking forward to his company on Thursday. And yeah, I was thinking about him because I thought, like you, Coach Turner, that this morning was Blue Monday, the thing called Blue Monday. It's actually next, it's been scientifically worked out to be next Monday, the 14th. Sorry, that will be the 15th. Sorry. It's so depressing. It can't even get its own date right. Monday, the 15th of January, 2024. And Blue Monday is the name given to a day in January said by a UK travel company. A bit of an agenda there, perhaps. Sky Travel to be the most depressing day of the year. The concept was first published in a 2005 press release. That PR company earned their money that day, didn't they? Because that went viral in 2005 when I think it were things. Was that a phrase that was known in 2005 going viral? Well, it certainly did. And it claimed to have used an equation. Yeah, the concept was first published in a 2005 press release from the company Sky Travel, who have been made famous ever since, which claimed to have calculated the date using an equation, in inverted commas. So perhaps they didn't. It takes into account weather conditions and thus only applies to the Northern Hemisphere. Some have dismissed the idea as pseudoscience. Ha! A lot of it about. Oh, I see. Ben Goldacre. He set his people on me once upon a time when I used to write a natural health column. Come on, it's just a bit of fun, everybody. I think you get the point, don't you? Don't look at the finger, look at the moon. What's being pointed at here? I think there's some, not merit exactly, but it's an interesting concept of Blue Monday. That is, we've gone through the Christmas period. Where there's an up, if you did have an up Christmas, then there's a down. And it's a little while until payday for a lot of people, not like you, Ben Goldacre. Anyway, I won't get personal, but there are a lot of people who will be feeling that a little, what would it be, a well-being hiatus? Unless, of course, they have access to people like Coach Turner and Bryn Tomes, whose message I will play for you in just a moment. So it's not today, it's a week today. Enjoy the show. Yeah, and quite rightly you say, well, not on Good Morning Portugal. It's not. We do have a lot of resources, tools here. Loads of tools. Tools and resources for averting any blueness at all. And it happens, doesn't it? It definitely happens, like clouds passing across the sky. Blue, mixing up my metaphors far too much here because I'm thinking blue sky, Blue Monday. Doesn't really work together, does it? But yeah, it happens. It arises. And I'm sure James will have something to say about this. He certainly will, because I'll be quizzing him next Monday about this. We can talk about it and we can address it until perhaps we don't need to talk about it anymore. Enjoy the show, enjoy the day, and celebrate being alive. Well, hey, yes. Whoa, some gumper dust on you, Coach Turner, this morning. And your God Score tip of the day, then. Nutrition seems to be an area of intensive study right now. There's a lot of money in it, Coach Turner. Follow the money, honey. Recent research has identified that humans have 5 different appetites. I find that sometimes they all fire off at the same time. In fact, yesterday, lovely lunch at one of my favorite Tascas here in San Martino de Porto. And it's expensive taking, a family of 5 out in some ways, but you do get to try 4 or 5 different dishes that way, which I did. My 5 appetites, I think, fired up yesterday at lunchtime. It was really great. And I've more to say about that. Me and Mrs. M recorded a little. It's not for today's show, but we've started a little San Martino de Porto website, and we're going to make shorts of these establishments that we visit. So people have got a less than a minute guide to anywhere they're thinking of staying. Isn't that a good idea? Anyway, my 5 appetites, the 5 appetites that Coach Turner's talking about here, these help to explain some of our eating habits. And then James appeared with Bom Dia, Gumpers, Feliz Segunda Todos, okay, tem feito. See, he's giving it a go. And we're gonna move beyond that level gradually. Baby steps, right? As Big Phil would say. Mindful moment then. Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. Yes, we'll have some of that this morning. And mindful dad joke, change is inevitable, except from a vending machine. I was going to say, I haven't heard that before. I just don't think I've heard it for a while. But thank you, Robert C. Gallagher, brought to us this morning. Conveyed, off with his head, conveyed by James. Happy Year of the Banana Slug. Another great one. James with us at 9. And Tig James I have to get this right. Tig James MBE will be. Oh, I don't think she's been invested yet. So is she or investitured? We'll have to ask her about all of this when we see her at 9:30. Officially, actually, unofficially, I don't know if the I's have been dotted and the T's have been crossed, but Tig James MBE, she was awarded an MBE for services to the British community here in Portugal. Quite rightly so, and we'll talk to her. There is a video on our YouTube channel, my scoop interview with her from last week, and very popular it is too. So you can find that video if you want to find out more about that. And quite rightly, Tig being acknowledged in that way over on the YouTube channel. But not yet. The 5 appetites are carbs, protein, fat, sodium, and calcium. Chips. Where do chips fit in here? That'll be carbs and sodium, won't it? And fat. Ham, egg, and chips, the ultimate meal, then, I would say. The first 2 are the most significant. It suggests that if you haven't eaten sufficient protein, you will continue eating carbs. Yeah, I can see that. So, as with most things in life, balance is the key. It's true, isn't it? You could say this whole purpose of our lives here is to play with balance, right? Because we know when we're not, and we know when we are. It's delightful, isn't it, when things are in balance? And because of what the laws, various laws of what entropy and other ones, thermodynamics, that sort of thing. The balance is ongoing, isn't it? It's like life is like being one of those cyclists on a high wire. That if you stop pedaling, you're going to fall off. You don't get a chance to stop here. Things are either spiraling up or down, and you're in balance on that spiral. Is that not right, everybody? Excuse me a minute. It's the dampness. All right, Bob Wenger's also here. A couple of lovely pictures from Bob. Cheers, Bob. Thank you for those. Very thoughtful. And let me just bring those up onto the screen to go with your message to us this morning. How are you doing? How is it up in the north this morning? I was thinking to myself, I had a little word with myself this morning when I was out with the dogs, as well as, remember that moment when I realized when I was criticizing how boring the walk was, that it was me that was going that way every morning. Well, I gave myself another talking to about the weather. I was thinking, I'm going to tell everyone it's really chilly here. I was thinking, really chilly? It's not really, it is what it is, and get on with it. And that was so much better than starting to moan to myself about the weather. Can you believe that? What idiot moans to himself and suffers about the weather? Me this morning. Bon dia a todos from Bob. New year, new eating and exercise plan. Yes, Bob. Let's get into the. Would you help me review the God Squad Tip of the Day materials, resources, please? You do have access as a GMP VIP yourself. The Fitbit helps. Yes. My Fitbit was missing in action, or missing because of inaction, you could say. My youngest was playing with it last night, so I'll get that charged up and get that bad boy back on me as well. Nice reminder there, Bob. At Coach, speaking of carbs, we just learned to begin a meal with at least 2 bites of protein. It slows insulin production. It's like getting in there, isn't it? Like an animal. Eat the protein and it will slow down, or work with your body systems in a more appropriate way. Because I think it's dangerous, isn't it, to game our systems? Let's get in balance with them, shall we? Okay. Pictures then from Bob, and let me just take your comment off the screen, Bob, because this is delightful. This is Ponte Lima, the Pont of Ponte Lima here, and the Christmas decorations that I see were still up on Friday, 12th night, Day of the Kings on Saturday, wasn't it, on the 6th? And I put some resources up there, and Antonio put me right. I thought it was a public holiday. I mean, it was a Saturday anyway, so that changes the game, doesn't it? But a festivity rather than a public holiday, I learned from Antonio F. And a chance for me to look into the deeper meaning behind such events. And I did. Like I said, with Christmas, sometimes these things can be and the solstice, they can all be husks of the original ritual. So I decided to look into the significance of King's Day and who the 3 wise men or kings might have been. Very interesting. And what the significance, the metaphorical significance of the East, coming from the East. Very interesting. Thanks, Rev Joe and Steve Welton, for your erudite input on that as well. I thought it was really useful to scratch the surface. So the decorations are not down yet because it was the 5th when this was taken in Ponte Lima. That's the bridge. And look at this moody picture behind this magnificent tree there. the tree. Well, a church, I believe there, Bob, shrouded in. It's like a skeleton, isn't it? The anatomy of a tree, illuminated for us there, backlit by an adorned church. So thank you very much for those. I wonder if you sent me some. Oh yeah, Pondalima last Friday night, that's a lovely contribution on 913-590-303. Thank you very much for that, Bob. Indeed, very thoughtful of you. Anyone else want to send any pictures or videos from the weekend? Please do on that same number, 913-590-303. I'm going to play Bryn Tome so I can have a sip of tea here. Something's going on with my voice. We've got this message from Bryn. He's going to join us on Thursday, and here he is to tell you so himself.
The mind is.
Oh, hold on a minute. I just turned off.
Changing the direction of the mind.
Hold on.
We can
Bryn,
change.
Whoa, Bryn. Back to the start, please.
The mind is the source of all experience. And by changing the direction of the mind, we can change the quality of everything we experience. When you transform the mind, everything you experience is transformed. My name is Brent Tomes, and I'm a neurosynthesist, life transformational mentor, parent coach, and a full-time dad to my boss and 9-year-old daughter. And I help people around the world change their perception and the way they experience life. Join me on the Carl Munson goodmorningportugal.com live stream show at 9:30 on the 11th of January, where I'll be talking about how we use the past in order to predict the present.
Ooh.
And how we don't live life in real time, which is a problem because we live as a record of the past, which is what we call our perception problem. To live a life full of happiness, joy, gratitude, and abundance takes daily training to redirect the mind, which I will be sharing on the show. So make sure you save the date, time, and listen in. Namaste, Bryn.
See, he didn't have to tell you Gumpers that. You're going to be here anyway, I hope, at 9:30 on Thursday. But that was very interesting. I'm looking forward to talking to Bryn, and I hope you're able to hear that and you just didn't hear a minute and a half of silence. They gave me a chance to have a little sip of my tea in the brand new Love Portugal mug, available now. Right, Pam's Zoom chat club will be offering a gentle introduction. Good morning to you, Pam. Gentle introduction group. That's a gig, that is, GIG, gentle introduction group for people who have done a basic course in Portuguese but haven't really got going with the speaking. Yeah, there are those people, aren't there, who go and do the A2 course but still can't speak Portuguese because they don't have the confidence. You know, they've learned it technically, but they haven't got the confidence to go speak conversationally. That's a great offering, Pam. Got any more details so that people can get in touch with you about that? Continuing with protein then, we've got from Dr. Petronella Ravenshire, the human being diet. Does what it says on the tin, hopefully. And Andy's back in the country. Isn't that marvelous? Good morning, everyone. It's good to be home after much holiday traveling. Now, Andy, I was with one of my great friends in San Martino de Porto who made me so welcome here when I first arrived. A great character, Gustavo. Some of you might know him if you've been here. I think you might have met Gustavo, Andy. He's got a mate. I was in the tourist information office yesterday afternoon. Meeting a lady, an Irish lady actually, who's up from the Algarve, quite coincidentally, who's interested in this area, moving from the Algarve because it's a bit too hot there in the summer, and is thinking of moving to the Silver Coast. So she's up here on a recce. Nice to meet you. And there was a video on in the tourism office of a plane flying around the bay. It turns out Gustavo's mate flies planes around the bay, 4-seaters, and he loves taking people up in the sky. Now, 4 people, that's the pilot. That's Gustavo's mate, isn't it? And then there's you, Andy, with your camera, and Bobby and me, an Englishman, an Irishman, the American filmmaker, and the pilot fly around the Silver Coast. If all goes according to plan, we'll fly over Batalha as well as Caldash. The pilot's front garden, just down the road, apparently. He likes to just fly over his back garden, I think. So isn't that a great? Would you be up for that? I mean, you've been doing some jet travel, obviously, back and forth. You're back here far too quickly if you came by boat. And I wonder if you would, how you feel about flying in a 4-seater aircraft. Gustavo said, never again. after his first time up there. And that was a long time ago, but he recommends it for us, Andy. What do you think? And great idea, Read the Elephant. Oh, thanks, mate. Finished the A2 class at the University of Aveiro, but that was so much grammar. Important, but not enough practical use. Interesting, isn't it? And Coach Turner to Bob. I suspect all these things are linked in some way. The other tip I found was to eat slowly. Yes, it takes about 15 minutes to realize that you are full. That's right. Like, and some, you know, I realize, I mean, with the experiment that I did last year, one big meal now is enough. I think that might be an age thing as well. And I was reminded of the times when I would gladly eat a full English breakfast in the morning, then a big old lunch as well, and then have dinner. Dinner being the most important of those three, a big dinner in the evening. And if I was feeling a little bit peckish and nibbly later on, have a little snack before bedtime. It's unbelievable. I think, you know, food has become obviously an industry and a consumer activity far beyond the needs of the human body. That's what's going on, isn't it? Like with so many other things in this bonkers world that we live in. So it's very interesting to come back to basics and get a true understanding after possibly decades of conditioning what your body actually needs, not just with food, but I guess with everything. So excellent conversation this morning. Thank you very much. Mrs. M would be enjoying this if she were not asleep right now. Oh my goodness, I had some very intense dreams. I was in Manchester last night, or in the north of England with some people. It was extraordinary, really detailed dreams that I often don't remember. But my goodness, I made a lot of friends last night. Yes, mindful eating, taste it, enjoy it, be grateful for each bite. Nice. Edit the A1 class. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So it was the A1 with all that grammar, not much of the practical conversation. So thank you for that, Andy, nonetheless. And Pam's group, the Zoom group, might be of assistance. My kind of dad joke. I once wrote a song about a tortilla, but it's more of a rap. Yes. Morning all. How you doing, Owen? And oh yes, I didn't get the pictures in of Owen's food on Friday. It was a busy show on Friday. Great fun. I was surrounded. I was a rose among. Sorry, I was not a rose. I was a thorn among three roses. It was great fun last Friday, and I have pictures from Owen that I didn't manage to get onto the screen because I got so busy. And these will make your mouth water this morning. What was that? That was opal fruits made to make your mouth water. So if you grew up in the UK, you might remember that. But we won't start talking about sweets, will we? This looks like Eating Portugal, the book, Eat Portugal, and the arroz de pato, the duck rice recipe. These are beautiful. Are these yours? These are yours, aren't they? These are beautiful photographs. These aren't from the book. These are I can tell from the crockery here that these are Owen's. Very nice indeed. Those are the raw ingredients. I think that is it underway in the pot. I mean, that's a beautiful picture, isn't it? With some leek and carrot and onion and some duck going on there. And interestingly, you haven't seared your meat, as it were, there. A nice big bay leaf in there. And we boiled a chicken for the first time at Christmas. I'm obsessed with browning meat, Owen, and searing it and sealing the flavour in. But there is something very special, isn't there, about boiling meat as well, as bland as that sounds. But I think you've got that under control there with the seasonings you've been using. And look how it turned out, everybody. Isn't that beautiful? Duck rice a la Owen. Inspired, I think, by the Eat Portugal book. Hopefully we'll have the authors of that book on with Owen at some point in the future. His is the first Wednesday of every month, Owen's residency as the food alchemist, talking about... actually, I think what we've managed to do also on that first Wednesday, Owen, is have craft beer corner. Let me just confirm that with you, because we love talking, me and Owen love talking about food and craft beer. And I offer James at the Anson Brewery in Lourinhã, first Wednesday of every month. Does that suit you, James? Sure, that sounds great. We can do that for sure. So yes, Owen, you didn't even know that. You will be alongside James. He'll join us at 9:30. Different James, not Slug's friend James. James the brewer of the Anson Brewery in Lourinhã will be joining us on the first Wednesdays with Craft Beer Corner. A few more hellos this morning, and until we're joined in a few minutes by Slug's friend James. Would have been a Monday mindful migration. Oh, good to see you here, Deagle and Baddy. Hola, bon dia from a stormy Iceland. trying to get back to Portugal soon, I hope. So it's a bit like being stuck on Madeira. If the weather conditions aren't right, you can't fly out of Iceland. Well, good luck. Boa sorte to you, buddy. Looking forward to seeing you back in the country and hope you can make a meetup soon. Always good to see you. Carl, did you just refer to this community as a bunch of... No, maybe. Digo, bon dia, Carl, and Gumpers from a nippy Belfast, -1 at 8:30 this morning. I have a busy week, medical appointment today, Wednesday, Thursday. We'll watch back later. You might as well move into the hospital, Digo, given that's where you work as well. Thumbs up, hit the like button, says Digo, and bon dia todos. Thank you, Antonio. Lovely conversation, virtual conversation with you over the weekend. The honouring of Eusebio, the great footballer, of course, last week on GMP VIP. Let me just tell you what other highlights ended up there. You've been very busy and much appreciated over there. Tales of an American in Portugal. I put a video up on GMP VIP. A fella called Jeff, from the United States, who's a storyteller, and there's quite a long video, but it's very entertaining, of him and his first few years in Portugal and the language. A lot about the language on there. Criminal facts, is like a court report now, thanks to Antonio F over at Love Portugal GMP VIP. Some deeper diving about King's Day, Dia de Reis, and the place in Portugal where kids are encouraged to smoke to celebrate King's Day. Yes, it's a local village festivity there. I guess where I am in Portugal, little bit of a thread on that as well. Christmas festivities, some lovely pictures left over from Christmas from Antonio F. So lots going up and on over there, and nearly at 300 comments on the Portuguese saying of the day over at GMP VIP. Great work started by T-Duck there and continued admirably by Antonio F. Pamela Smith's offer there, Zoom chat club. I hope she's going to give us the details a little bit later on. Jess is in as well. Bon dia todos this morning. Brian, where you been? Nice to see you here. Bon dia Gumpers. And Pam says, yeah, I'll share a sign-up form once all the details are set. Nice one. Thank you very much. Oh, another cooking-based dad joke here from Owen. What do you call a fake noodle? An impasta. No sooner does T-Duck turn his back, creating a dad joke vacuum. Nature. We all abhor a dad joke vacuum. Thank you. Pete's in now as well. Bon dia alegria. It's very frosty, but the car has warmed itself for me via the phone. Carl, it will be easier when you are off solids. Won't be long now. There he is, cheerful as ever. Thank you. Good morning to you, Pete. So many Portuguese classes don't give enough opportunities for speaking practice. I think I'd find that very difficult. Hours of grammar and without the chance to speak. Can you imagine? Jess, what's happening with Jess? It does do that. Awaiting the make a freshly ground cup of coffee update on the Tesla. Yeah. I wonder if you can you drink it, the liquids that come out of it, because there's nothing harmful coming out of that, is there, except a bit of water, or maybe not even that. The least old Elon could do is get your coffee machine in there. And boiling meat, can I read this? Boiling meat reminds me of Irish meals, pre-mushed. Won't be long, Carl. Craft beer, that's great. I'm glad you like that, Owen. Yes, good news. Craft beer corner. Hey, how about a jingle when you and T-Duck are back in the studio? Craft beer corner. Lends itself, doesn't it? The subject lends itself to some bubbling and, the hubble bubble, beer brewing trouble, sound effects maybe. And the obvious sound effect that many themselves create after drinking quite a lot of craft or any beer, I wonder. Squire's in. Yeah, if you want to make a jingle for that, I'm sure James from the Anson Brewery would be very complimented by that. Bon dia and impressed. Bon dia, Feliz Segunda from the Squire. Morning, Squire. And Portuguese classes, colloquial linguistics, are in ratio to the location of the nearest bar. The more alcohol you consume, the more you feel your Portuguese has improved. Pam Smith. Excrement. Okay, let's play his music because we like this moment, don't we? On a Monday morning, 9 o'clock, Mindful Migration Monday. Let's get into the sweet vibes of James's theme tune. Here we go. Hola, bom dia. Tudo bem?
Bom dia!
Hey, Om Shanti. How are you? Tudo bem?
Muito bem, obrigado. E tu?
Muito bem, obrigado. And we don't even need to do this bit, do we, anymore? 'Cause-
O que
Right.
tens feito?
Okay, let me just. I'm going to put my stunt double in for this bit. Okay. Right, here we go. If I can find it. Right, here we go. This. There we go. Today, my friends Carl and James are meeting. Hola, bom dia, James. Tudo bem?
Oh, I see.
Yes,
I'm supposed to read now. Okay, it's a script. Olá, bom dia, Carl. Sim, muito bem, obrigado.
all that rehearsal really paid off, didn't it?
Uh-huh.
And look, yikes! What do I say now? A terrified Carl. James just looks into his beer. You see how I repurposed that picture? It's
I
brilliant.
do see that. I also noticed that 2 out of 3 of my pictures have me holding a beer or drinking a beer.
Which is not like you, really, is it?
No, not really.
Okay, so now, see, last week, we thought the elephant in the room is this thing, isn't it? Of the opportunity to speak Portuguese, but not doing it really. And the elephant comes in. He's going to be our guide on this journey. Hola, I'm the elephant in the room. Let's see what we can do here after both of these gentlemen have said, yikes. What do I do here? So there's that bit. And now our first step. Como foi? É tu fim de semana?
Or uteu. Okay.
What did I say? All right, you do that bit. You do that bit.
Utiu or something like that is, I think, we did. Anyway, o que tem feito?
Oh, look at you. You've been practicing. Não muito. Hey, tu.
Não muito.
Okay, so that's baby steps, James. Baby steps. I'm proud of us. No, I'm proud of us. I'm proud of us that this will continue now. We have the impetus, and you made a very wise observation with all this talk about too much grammar in the classroom, etc. Funnily enough, Portugal offers infinite opportunities to practice speaking Portuguese. Because everyone speaks, well, a lot of people speak Portuguese in Portugal, don't they?
I've found so many people speak Portuguese here. It amazes me. It's like you'd think that was the language of the nation or something.
Yes. So, well, yes, well said. And I suppose, it can get a little bit too abstracted and conceptual, can't it? As all of life can do, it would seem. And all you need to do probably is to step out of your front door, and you will get 1 or 2 opportunities to speak Portuguese, as James quite rightly points out there, and put all that grammar that you've learned in the classroom, whether it be A1 or A2, into practice. Okay, so
it's very, very helpful. But as is evidenced by all this talk about conversational groups and getting together, and you putting into practice what you've learned in the classroom, we're very hesitant, it seems, to get out there and try it. The grammar came after the language. Just like written music came after the music. Like we spoke first, then we figured out how we were doing it. We sang and we played instruments first, then we figured out how to notate it. That stuff came after. So the language, the opportunity to practice is there. And I'm no different. It took me a long time to even try to say some Portuguese word in public in Portugal, because I felt foolish. I felt embarrassed. I felt like people were going to laugh at me or criticize me. Maybe not out loud, but go, "Oh, what an idiot!" Those kinds of things. And so it's been slow for me as well. But I've been doing it. Most of my opportunities are when I'm out shopping, doing things, going to the pastelaria, ordering coffee and bread. Listening for the question about my contribuinte. And I still stumble at contribuinte. I had to hear that word in order to know they were asking me that question. I still don't understand the rest of the question. I hear you contribuinte. Contribuinte. They go, "Oh, contribuinte. Yeah, não obrigado," or sim, whatever. But it takes a willingness to try something, even if it's just one sentence. And
Yes.
then you start building some confidence and so on. But yeah, it's there.
Yeah, and it's interesting that the idea of only hearing one word, it's enough, isn't it? And what you said about how speaking comes first and then grammar comes later, this is how children learn. Children aren't lectured
They're
in
not
grammar, are
studying
they?
grammar.
Until they're 10. Okay, so we'll teach. I mean, if we leave it to the rationalists, that would be what happens. Is children would be forbidden to speak until they were 10. They would have to learn all their grammar, be tested on it in exams, and then once they've passed those grammar exams, they'll be allowed to actually speak to people.
Yes, how to beat the joy of a language out of a child.
Or anything for that matter.
Yes.
You know, that tends to be what happens with the over flexing of the rational mind, if I might put it like that. And it's the same with babies and children and men. So some women might say as well that we only hear keywords. We don't listen to or understand the whole sentence. We will just hear something like, I don't know, towel or pub or something like that, and that'll be enough to get the gist of what's being said and respond in some way. And you can do that with Portuguese as well.
Yeah, well, and also, if we're going to go to the stereotype about men who don't talk or listen, the equivalent in Portuguese, if you haven't really been listening, is just say pois.
Yes, that's Randy.
Just nod your head, pois.
You know, we can have guest appearances for with people and their tactics with our new book. It does need to be signed off actually by an actual Portuguese person, because I got the title wrong, didn't I? I said os elefant na quarto, no quarto, I think, as in the bedroom. An elephant in the bedroom is slightly different.
Quarto.
Yes, that's what I said.
No, you said quarto.
Quarto. Okay. And I think we can have guests on this, can't we? So Bairandi has for years had the tactic of just saying pois, standing near Portuguese people while they were talking to him and saying pois, pois. And if there was ever an uncomfortable silence, he would just say "Este complicado" and walk away. and that, you see, that could be enough. That's better than nothing, I would say. So we will.
Or one of the things I've been trying to figure out is how do you politely say what? You know, you don't want to be rude and say what, but it's like sometimes it's not loud enough. Sometimes I can't understand the words that I want them to repeat, but I don't know how to say a whole sentence. Like, could you please repeat what you just asked me?
Yeah.
So I want something quick I can use just to say, could you say again? You know, we'll say, so I think I found the answer.
Oh, that's going to be in the book then, isn't it?
Because it could be, yeah. Because even the Portuguese, my Portuguese family, they want to give me a whole sentence to say. Like, I didn't quite understand you. Would you mind please repeating that again for me? It's like, no, I don't want all those words. I just want to say.
No one says that in real life. Now, come on, tell us what it is, really.
And but if you say que or que, and I'm still confused on how those are used, so don't mind me there. That feels kind of rude. Like, what?
Yeah.
What? So I think, because I've heard it, I've listened, I've heard people say como. In that situation, they go como.
Yeah.
And it's like how? I mean, like, what did you just say? I don't know that. Don't take this for gospel. I'm not a Portuguese expert. I'm not a Portugal expert, but I do try to pay attention to situations that I'm trying to get answers for. That seems to be the one that I'm finding.
Well, thank you for that. And pode repetir is also a possibility.
Okay.
Devagar, slow down if you don't mind. Devagar, pode repetir. Devagar would be quite useful to ask the person to slow down.
I'm a big fan of single word statements.
Yeah. No,
one word says it all.
And that's what you find. And falar mais devagar, it's getting longer and longer. But yes, that is good. Thank you very much for that. I'm just going to screenshot those so that we can add these into the book.
And those are specific. That one is telling me, if I'm listening, that he didn't understand. Okay. But sometimes I just don't hear it. It's too loud. You know, you got everything. Everyone's talking. All the glasses are clanging, and someone's going. It's like, what? I can't hear you. Yeah. And the Portuguese do. They have fine-tuned ears. They hear through all that. I can't. And part of it's because I don't know the language yet. But yeah.
And perhaps a British, speak up, man. Don't mumble.
Right.
It's a bit too formal.
I can't hear you.
Excellent. Okay, Pam, thank you for that. We'll give that a spin in a little while. Your little clip there from the choral concert for Dia dos Reis. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Bom dia. Is that a northern Portugal thing or a typo? I'm sure we'll find out. Oh, yeah, bom dia is what I meant. Bom dia, Antonio, as well. Bom dia might be good words, though, as well, mightn't it? And Pete, I think I'll have to do a screenshot of this as well. And he's talking about the elephant's trunk, which I suspected he might do at some point during the course of Us and the Elephant in the Room. The elephant in the room, not the elephant in the bedroom, which I believe is Pete's nickname, actually, in central Portugal. But those rumours have yet to be confirmed or denied. But I'm going to translate that later. Thank you for that, Pete. Who else is here?
I suspect it's not something we're going to put in our book.
No, I would rather not. Frankly, you wouldn't know Portuguese existed if you live in Vilamoura or Cascais. Yeah,
because of all the English. Is that
yeah, but still, I think you can get to. In fact, well, last time I was in Cascais, I was spoken to a lot in English, especially in the cafe, because people are busy in cafes, aren't they? They actually probably want to get things done as quickly as possible in many ways. And I was aware of having a conversation where I was speaking Portuguese and the Portuguese person was speaking English, and we didn't break, either of us. Either way, we just carried on like that, which I quite liked. And I was thinking to myself, are they consciously aware that this is happening? Because they can speak Portuguese and English. Oh, I saw the most brilliant put down about this. An English-speaking person having a go at somebody online, like just a kind of troll-like response to them not speaking as good English as they would like them to speak. And the person said, you something like, you speak English because it's the only language you've got, and I'm speaking English because it's the only language you've got. Isn't that brilliant?
Yes. And so logical.
Yes. I thought that was wonderful. But I was wondering to myself, when I have these moments when I'm speaking to people in Portuguese and I don't stop trying to speak in Portuguese and they continue to speak in English, whether they're just hearing the meaning and they're not even thinking about it, this is Portuguese or this is English, because I guess all they want to hear is what you want and get on with it. Then they're probably you know about this and how the mind works, James. People probably aren't thinking as much about us as we think they are they? They're thinking about their own problems and themselves probably more than they're judging or thinking about us.
Probably, yes. Although I think in Portugal, my experience of the culture is there is a lot of paying attention to the other's needs. I've fallen, I don't want to call it a trap, but I found a challenge because Louisa kept asking me if I wanted to whatever.
Yeah.
What she was trying to figure out is what she was going to do in the face of what I want to do.
Yes. Because
if I said, well, it'd be kind of nice if we could, get by Intermarché sometime in the next 3 days. She said, okay. In her head, we're going to Intermarché for James. That's how it's translated.
Yes.
And if that means going to Lidl because she doesn't have time to do both, she'll do that without telling me. It's like, okay, well, we'll skip Lidl. We'll go to Intermarché because James wants to go to Intermarché. I don't know if that's a cultural thing or just a personal thing, but I'm finding I need to be a little bit more thoughtful about my response to that question, because it's not really all about me. It's working it out, but wanting to make sure I'm taken care of. And I think that's fairly consistent across the culture with people. I don't think it's just a personal thing.
To be more thoughtful than other cultures, perhaps, in the other.
Yeah, about what's going on over there with that
Very
person.
Good. Well, yeah, why not? If that's true, may that continue. It's a lovely, lovely habit, I would say. Pam makes the comment, although Portuguese is hard to learn, it's not impossible. Millions of people are speaking.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, just about every person that lives here figured it out.
Ocean Dweller Aviva, good morning to you. It's a rainy and grey day today it's January in Madeira over there. And from Pete to Pam, it just makes it so embarrassing when their English is so good, and yet after 4 years of Portuguese classes, I have the eloquence of a remedial toddler. I guess you just have to suck that up, don't you? I mean,
well, what I do, and it helps me, it helps to keep me motivated, is I look at how old was I when I could speak this way in my native tongue.
Yes.
At age 2, it was Mama me want na 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 na. That was age 2. That's about what I can do in Portuguese right now. I'm 2 years old. And guess what? I've been here 2 years. To have what begins to resemble an intelligent conversation, I was 13, 14, 15 years old. It took me 13, 14, 15 years completely immersed in my language to be able to speak intelligently in my language. So I'm giving myself about 10 to get to that point in Portuguese. I'm thinking, okay, I can apply the grammar I know. I can apply the intelligence of being an adult. So I don't have to bring all that inexperience of being a child in. But I just have to be patient. And that's the hard part. I want to be able to have an intelligent, as intelligent as I'm capable of anyway, conversation in Portuguese. And so it frustrates me to not be there. And I want to be there tomorrow, and it's not going to happen. And I realize it's not going to happen in the next 2 years. If I get to a B1 or B2 in 5 years of being here, that will be really good progress.
I imagine, James, you'll be wanting to say to people in a bar, maybe, with you and all that beer drinking you do.
Because how often I'm at a bar.
He's always photographed with a beer in his hand. I don't know if you've noticed it. But to be there in maybe a smoky Portuguese bar and say, we are mere specks on a speck in the cosmos. That's the sort of level, isn't it, that you aspire to, I suspect. Yeah, but
this is what I say. I have so much. I follow Formula One because I enjoy the racing. But what's interesting, one of the things that fascinates me is that every driver that's ever interviewed, every team boss that's ever interviewed, it's all in English, and they all speak English so amazingly well. Yeah. They have an accent, clearly, but the French drivers, like, when I consider all the possibilities of the race, we have to look at this and that, and the variables can change, and blah, blah, blah. And all these words, this vocabulary, the correct use of language, the grammar, it's all perfect. And I just go, that's how I want to be able to do it one day.
Yeah, right. Well, of course, it's very fortunate, isn't it, for us English speakers? The world is dominated in certain parts of the world, certainly by English. And I was reminded of the Oscar Wilde quote about English. We have really everything in common with America nowadays, except, of course, language. Oscar, rascal. Okay, yes, one has to risk feeling stupid to speak in Portuguese. And that's true with so many things in life, isn't it, as well?
Speaking of looking at the other person, you can say the same thing for the Portuguese.
Yeah, right.
And because of their humility, you say, well, do you speak any English? They say no. And then when they do speak it, they speak far better English than you speak Portuguese.
Yes,
but it's the same feeling. There's a risk. Oh, no, it's not good enough. I can't do that. Yeah. But then when they step out and do it, it's like, wow. And that gives me an opportunity then to compliment their English.
Yeah. And it'll be something like, I'm so sorry, my English isn't of the standard you may be expecting.
Exactly.
What? Okay.
I'm working very hard, very diligently to learn your language in a better way.
I'm so sorry, it's so awful.
Yes.
I've been offering a free chat club for 3 years for people who want to practice. There's been a very low take-up. Well, come on, let's see if we can do something about that. Seems like
there is a shyness to it.
Yeah, come on, everyone. It seems like not many people actually want to put any effort in. Well, that's a bit of human nature coming in there.
And I'll give you one more coming, because I think people who are familiar with me in this community know by now, I'm rather introverted. I never wanted to be in a study group in college. It's like, no. People say, you want to be in a group? No, thank you. I'll study on my own.
Nope.
It's too distracting and it's too energy draining. So no, I don't want to do that. Because I want to be able to focus on what I need to focus on, and so on and so forth. So that may also be something. It's certainly what keeps me out of groups who are having chat clubs, which, that works probably really well with extroverts. For introverts, I think the motivation to learn the language would have to be really, really powerful.
I'm sure there are ways around it. We may have psychologists available to us who could work on this. I mean,
possibly.
The introvert Portuguese practice Zoom club, could that be without the camera on and for only about 5 minutes?
maybe briefly, I don't know, the camera is it really has more to do with meeting new people and then group dynamics, which could also be an empathic quality. Just groups of strangers are very draining for me. And I do it. I enjoy it. I don't want people to get the wrong impression that I just want to stay locked up in my room all the time and that's where I'm happiest. It's not. I enjoy personal interaction. I do this Monday show because I enjoy it. It's fun for me. I like being out and enjoying people's company. But when it comes to needing to focus, which for me, language study, it's a more solitary thing. It is for me. And I can't obviously and won't speak for all introverts and all. Yeah,
if we apply ourselves to it, there'll always be ways to do it, won't there? You have to get to that point, don't you, where the will or desire to do the thing is greater than the things that are not having it happen.
Yes, I'm sure subconsciously or unconsciously, I created that for myself. I created myself a Portuguese family without trying to do that. I did reach out and say, anyone interested in a language exchange? That was my approach. I wasn't, I'm an introvert, I only need one. That's what I wanted. I wanted one-on-one. Yeah. So that's what I asked for. That's how I met Louisa. Now I have Louisa and Sidonio as part of my family that I can work with when I have questions. Where does the accent go when there's two accents in a word? I mean, where does the emphasis go? There's two accents. Which one do I emphasize? Things that I'm thinking about, but I need answers for that I can't find. So that's what works for me, having Portuguese friends.
Well, let's see what we can do, Pam. I think repetition as well, to have it. People are also, whether they're introvert or extrovert, are bombarded with demands on their time and attention. And I think we need to just get that message repeated and for people to know that you have that available. Please don't take that personally, that there's not much take up.
Oh, no. That was the point of what I was trying to say is that there are probably many reasons that people don't do it, and introversion is probably one of them.
Yep.
It's still a great idea. I'm happy it's happening because
well, we'll do our best to advertise it for you, Pam. Give us the link when it's ready, which is why aguardente, liqueur, beirão, and ginger are so vital to confidence in Portuguese. It's true. And I think maybe when those companies realize that, they'll start making special editions of that booze with phrases perhaps on the packaging. If there is silence, and more tips from Pete, and it's awkward, there is always either a football match or game show on a TV that you can pretend you're distracted by. Excellent, very good, James. Pois. Desculpa, and then you come back and then you can start again. You can buy yourself a bit of time. PT Country Bear, lovely to see you here this morning. I hope you had a good Christmas and Happy New Year to you, Buono. I see Portuguese people say diga.
Diga, okay, that would make sense.
Let us not forget Marcus's excellent facial Portuguese, which will resonate as well along. That was superb, and we'll resurrect that alongside our resources here. Questioning face, diga, in a situation where they did not hear something, and often that's what people will be saying when you go into a shop. Diga, like, tell me, what do you want? Yes, please. Remember, quantum. A sound. All right, let me get to the end of the sentence before you correct my pronunciation.
Okay. Teacher mode off.
Remember, quanto must sound quanto, and corum sounds corum, while quient sounds quent, and quinta sounds quinta. The U gets muted in these situations. So, which situations, though, Antonio? Is that all of them?
It has to do with the vowel that follows.
Are you opening your vowels on the show already this morning?
So when it's Q-U-A, it's qua. And if it's Q-U-I, it's ki.
Okay, quinta.
I haven't learned all the rules, but a lot of it has to do with the vowels. I love rules. I love rules that stand. It gives me some place to make a foundation. I can count on this.
You sound like you were demanding discipline there. Or is that just when is that just where my mind went? You also have to sound and practice the body language of someone who is just about to have a fight. More useful tips. What? Square up to the person. Diga. Okay. All right. Thanks for that. Sometimes these things that Pete observes as a keen observer of humanity, you think to yourself, what is he talking about? And then later on in the day, you'll see it.
Yes.
Yes, so I go, that's what he was talking about. Okay, that's right, Pam, says Antonio. More than 200 million people speak Portuguese. Well, they're just a bunch of show-offs, basically, aren't they?
I know a few of them.
Big Tony, about 1% of them speak Portuguese with a Russian accent, where most of the sounds are swallowed. Depends where you go, I guess. I have used como with success. So there you go. We've learned something this morning. That's very good. Como.
Como diga.
And Pam's an introvert. She tells us.
Good for you. Okay.
I get very confused switching from Portuguese to English. Put the hours in. It's achievable and so worth it. She's an introvert. And you can't learn to speak a language without speaking.
Absolutely.
She's got a point, has she not?
Yes.
Tig James, MBE, will be joining us very soon. So we need to tidy up here, James. I'm not sure how we should address Tig James, MBE. Because I haven't consulted my Brits peerage, but I think we can find that from her. But with this
Senora, perhaps?
It's a right old mess in here. We've got an MBE coming into the studio just a minute. Come on, let's look busy and tidy and smart here.
It's super formal. A minha senora.
Yes. Do we stand up and play the national anthem? I don't know. I don't know these things.
Bow.
She'll tell us. We normally bow, don't we?
Where's Andy for protocol when we need him?
Yeah, Andy. I always found alcohol helps with German, less so with Portuguese. And having hay fever, I think, helps when you're speaking German as well, doesn't it? Goodness only knows what food you'll get or what you buy at an auction if you start sneezing in Germany. Russian is much easier than Portuguese. What? Come on, Pam, really? I met a bloke the other day, actually, who said he worked for the American government. I don't know if he's meant to be telling me all of this, by the way. But he said to me, I lived in Mozambique and I got tutored in Portuguese. And now I'm in Kazakhstan. I'm being tutored in Russian. And he didn't make a case for one being much harder or easier than the other. But what an amazing job to be moved to these places around the world and have your own private tutor. And I think the level he had to attain in this position was to be able to have a formal meeting, have that much language. So that's quite inspiring as well.
Well, there is a similarity in the sounds of Mia Esmerish, the Portuguese instructor, shared a story about being at a party where a bunch of people were talking and she wasn't paying much attention, but she kind of heard the sound of people talking over there. He said, they sound Russian. And she's got an experience with a lot of languages. And he said, but then when I tuned in, I realized they were speaking Portuguese. And before I ever started learning, I said, I just heard the sound of Portuguese. I said, it sounds kind of Russian. So I knew my ear was on track anyway.
Right, here's the bottom line, though, before we go speak to Tig in just a moment. Pam Smith, putting in the hours is the key. We simply haven't done the work. And that's the truth of it, isn't it? That's the bottom line. And
how many hours do we put in to age 14 in learning our language?
A lot
speaking it, especially the first 5 years. How many hours? Pretty much all our waking hours are devoted to learning how to speak. And listen.
And when your life depends on it, which it does so much more when you're a child and teenager than it does when you already speak English, and lots of other people will help you. The imperative is not there. But let's do it this year. Let's make this year the year. We're going to help you with our book, The Elephant in the Room, Learning Portuguese with James and Carl. I hope that doesn't put you off. I hope you find that encouraging.
Yes.
And we will be just giving you more and more of these on a Monday, and they will be available online as well. Maybe Tig will do one for us as well, because I thought having other people come in with guest sessions and tips would be very good. Let's not keep her waiting any longer. All rise.
I'm an introvert.
Oh, you're an introvert as well.
¿Cómo?
So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to do this like I'm standing at the bottom of the stairs, or is it the top of the stairs? And people are filing into an official engagement. I'm in a butler's outfit, which, you're welcome. Anybody who likes that image, you're very welcome. And I will be saying, ladies and gentlemen, lords and ladies, Tig James, MBE. Carl made me write it. And a light smattering of applause. Tig James, MBE, you kept that quiet. Congratulations. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you very much. Yeah, I had to keep it quiet. I mean, we've already done one interview on this, but to fill everybody in that's listening today, I actually got told on the 4th of December, but was absolutely sworn to secrecy that I couldn't tell anybody till 10:30 at night on the 29th because of the honours list, the honours team releasing it to the press, because they release all the names of everybody that have got King's honours at that time. So, yeah. So I couldn't tell a soul. It killed me.
Help a non-Brit out. What's an MBE? I have no clue.
James, this is why you can't be a colony anymore.
I know.
With that sort of attitude.
Every year, in the new year, the King is presented with presented with so many names of people that they feel have gone over and above in serving the British community wherever they are, and the King, the honours team, then presents to the King really, who should receive an honour, and that's what's happened. So I've received
congratulations.
And you are nominated. Yes. You're nominated by your peers for this. You're put forward, aren't you, as somebody who has gone above and beyond. And as when I looked it up, over a period of time as well. You know, these are not flash in the pan helpers of society. These are people who've proven themselves over a long time, which you have, and which I discovered when we talked the other day about your service to the British community. This is going on and on, isn't it, Tig? Since when did you first start helping Brits in Portugal?
It was 2017, wasn't it? 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
And it was just me going around trying to work out how on earth, what on earth had gone on, because we got Brexit.
Yes.
So and that's what happened. And it's just carried on and on and on because the Portuguese government's delaying in doing what they're supposed to do under the law. So yeah.
And here we are, 2024. Yeah. It's sobering, isn't it, to think that it's not that far. We're closer to 10 years now, as the time that you've been involved in doing this, and it's not resolved, is it? And it probably won't be for a little bit longer yet.
Yeah, that's what gets me and annoys me and irks me, and why it's very good that I'm not an introvert.
And keeps you going. It keeps you going as well, doesn't it? I think. So yeah, congratulations. That's wonderful. And I know I was joshing a bit at the beginning there, but I imagine there are certain rights or privileges that go with the new title and acknowledgement. What might they be? And do we have to address you differently now? I hope you'll continue to be with us on the Monday. Okay, excellent. Should we have done more? Should I have spoken to your equerry or something like that before?
Yeah, when I hire him, Carl.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, all right. Yes, there's certain things. I mean, I can put the letters, because MBE means Member of the British Empire. So some people have an issue with that because it's empire sort of related. But for me, it wasn't. It was just a thank you for what I've done. The first proper one I've had. There you go, in 8 years. What changes? I can put MBE, like I say, after my name. I can and this makes me smile. This really does make me smile. I can get married, and I think my children can, if I have any children, in St. Paul's Cathedral in London, where the royal family gets married.
Yes.
Wow.
If James and I get married, because we're mates of yours, could we get married in St. Paul's Cathedral?
No, sorry.
No, that's friends, not family.
It's harsh.
Family. No, there's all sorts of different things. Yeah, well, as far as I know, I'm still trying to find out. I mean, I have no idea.
I love it. Yeah, so, I mean, that's going to be part of the fun, isn't it? Is finding out what the privileges are and how wonderful. So it's great news and very quite rightly deserved. And as I understand it, you have the choice to receive the honour either here in your country of residence, because because of the Brexit situation, you might fear flying to the UK. Only kidding. Or you can go to Buckingham Palace, can you not? And be.
I was given a choice of going to the Portimao consulate, having it presented by the ambassador, who I see at least twice a year anyway. So I'm like,
yes, in there. Yes,
that's just work.
Yeah, she's got her own parking space.
More work.
And the other option was going to Buckingham Palace and having it presented by a member of the royal family. So I've opted.
Well, what are you going to choose? What are you going to choose?
Yeah, that's not even a choice.
Yes, it's going to be Buckhouse. Superb.
Yeah,
Very good. Very good. And please don't be saying, "Oh, I know Tig James MBE can have a window seat and a reservation and all that sort of stuff," because I've already been told off for that.
Well, she's already given us permission to say Tig James says.
Oh, that's right.
That will probably carry weight. That'll carry weight anyway. Are you referring to Tig James MBE? Yes, I am.
I've got to change all those mugs and T-shirts now. You could have told me, but you couldn't have told me. That's the problem. So you will continue, of course, as we've just said there, with this work. Have things been quiet, Tig, because it's been Christmas and New Year? How is it going into the new year with the work that you do for people, especially the post-Brexit Brit community here in Portugal?
Well, I think there's a few things really, because certainly CEF now having manifested itself into AIMA that we all as foreigners have to, now deal with. I was told, and by quite a few people, that AIMA are now not printing new residency cards. So nobody can get a residency card. But then I was told the other day that the D7 visa people are getting their cards. Now, whether it's just D7 or what, I don't know. But certainly, if anybody is waiting under the withdrawal agreement, you are not going to get a residency card at the minute. It's just ridiculous. We've been through all that, but
it's
episodic.
It seems to be episodic the way they work, isn't it? It's okay, well, what's our next priority? And maybe and it doesn't seem to be necessarily the biggest backlog either, does it? But they'll just choose a tranche of subject.
This is bizarre, because this is a small group of people now. We've managed to get them down to a very small group of people that haven't got their residency cards. But as we all know, you can't do anything here without them, can you? You can't get healthcare, you can't get a bank account, you can't get a job, you can get nothing. And they have been like this now since 2020. No, it's outrageous. So
you don't get the sense then, and this is sadly all we can do is get a sense of things, because it's not a very transparent process. Perhaps they haven't got time to be transparent. They're so busy with trying to process people. What is the sense you get then of the workload, the situation at the newly formed IMA that is now what CEF used to be? What sense do you get of how well they're dealing with their new situation?
Certainly, initially it was chaos.
Right.
And I'll be honest, I know that when I came on for an interview before, and I listed down what each section had been forwarded onto in the GNR, PSP, or whatever. Right, I am still clueless as to who does what. Honestly, I'm clueless.
And so are they.
And so are they. That's I was just about to say that. Yeah.
No idea at all as to who does what, where, when, and how. And because of that, and I mean, like I say, they took over and just stopped printing cards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why? I don't understand. And the only thing I can think of, just trying to be practical, is maybe a budget issue that they haven't transferred over the payments. Who knows? But you know. And the trouble is that there's so few consequences for them. I mean, they have broken, CEF, certainly before AIMA, have broken so many immigration laws. It's frightening.
Oh, really? Right, okay.
Oh, God, by not processing and not doing what they, I spoke to an immigration lawyer, and she said to me, because I said to her, have they actually broken the law? And her eyes just nearly rolled out of her head. She said, so many. So many.
So what can be done about that then, Tig? I mean, nothing by the sound of it. Or I guess one glimmer of change and action was when a group of golden visa people, I think, got, or one of them, they were threatening a class action, weren't they? And one of them, because I don't know if that's a thing anyway here in Portugal, but a group of disgruntled golden visa applicants, certainly one of them, who I think was a lawyer, challenged CEF at the time and got some movement on that. Do you think there's going to be more of that sort of thing happening?
I've tried. And it's like I say, we've got Seth Amer banged to rights in failing to, they've broken the law so many times. But the trouble is, you see, we're a voluntary organisation, and it's trying to get a lawyer that will help us pro bono.
Okay.
And I know, because it'll be like a class action suit, and it will also be because you are a class action and because you're taking a public body to court, that we won't actually be liable for any sort of fees or any costs or fees, sort of any fines, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Yeah.
And which is fine. And I mean, how can we possibly lose?
Yes.
It's just, because Seth has just abandoned between 40 and 60,000 people. They just abandoned us, and the withdrawal agreement is there. And I mean, this is what I don't understand, because any lawyer that actually picks this up will be the first, lawyers' companies, the first, legal practice to take the withdrawal agreement, to court. Be fabulous. Be absolutely fabulous. And they will get so much publicity. Doing it pro bono for us would be pennies in comparison. Absolutely pennies to the, the publicity that they would get. And also in Portugal alone, because it would be absolutely huge. It'd be huge. We can't get a lawyer to do it because it's pro bono.
Well, let's make this a bit of an appeal for that. And let's have a look at this Portugal news piece then. So this is how we went into the year. I don't want to get too kind of bogged down in how awful it is, because we just kind of know that anyway. No, it's not a criticism of you at all. I mean, this is what you deal with every day. But it's really important, isn't it, to certainly understand what's going on and then see what we can do about it. And this is the state of play, or it certainly was at the end of last year, when I guess the wheels of IMA were grinding to a halt anyway for the Christmas. They were looking forward to probably a well-earned break, to be fair, and then hopefully to hit the ground running this year. But at that time, the Agency for Integration, Migrations and Asylum, IMA, which is what that stands for, will face the biggest test of its existence in 2024, with promises to regularize pending cases, which sounds like a translation to me, resulting of the merger of part of the functions of the Foreigners and Borders Service, CEF, and the High Commission for Migrations. Because they're not just taking over the old work, are they? They're bringing in new work, and it's a multi-team, multidisciplinary approach, which I think is always going to bring the challenges associated with any kind of change in an organization. Anyway, the new agency came into operation at the end of last October, if you remember, with great promises that to date have not yet been fulfilled. The end of the government and the scheduling of elections in March has put the commitments of the socialist executive at risk at a time when every day hundreds of requests for regularization enter a system that still fails to provide a sufficient response. So we'll get to the numbers in just a moment. By the end of the year, the executive has promised to resolve the tens of thousands of cases overdue with family reunification requests that are causing complaints, because it is something imposed by law. There you go, Tig, that's the law, one aspect of the law, and it being broken. Portugal is one of the few European countries that allows an irregular immigrant worker to apply for a visa at the national authorities, and these are the cases that are clogging up the system. All you need is an address, tax number, and an employment contract to make the request, regardless of whether you entered as a tourist, a situation that has led to an exponential increase in requests for new agencies. It's a long article. I will put the link to it in the chat. Just to finish on this first paragraph, the new agency inherited 350,000 pending cases in October, the last time the numbers were released. What do you make of that?
Absolutely. It's a mess. But also what you've got, that figure of 350,000, I don't know where that comes from. I would want it sourced. But that is 50% approximately of all foreigners in Portugal.
Is that right?
Yes, there's about 700,000 foreigners in Portugal, between 700 and a million, I think. And because people said to me, why can't you just work with all foreigners? And I said, I can't deal with flipping 60,000, let alone a million.
Right.
I mean, I would do, but I haven't got. That's not what I do, and it's not where my contacts are. So
350,000 cases is, yes, that makes sense, doesn't it? So
yeah,
okay.
So approximately they're lagging. They're behind with nigh on 50% of their cases. So all that tells you, doesn't it, is that you're completely understaffed.
Yes. Yeah.
And my observation, because I'm in the process of looking at a residency renewal, not British, obviously, but nobody's answering phones. Nobody's replying to emails. And the best explanation I've heard is through another Facebook site that's dedicated in a way, kind of like you are, Tig, to helping people with their immigration. They say that the information they have is that they have stopped responding to all incoming inquiries until they can get an online renewal process structured. And
the thing is if that's always been the case, people have never been able to, very, very rarely been able to get email responses or phone. And I mean, I know we've discussed this before, haven't we, Carl? You know, you ring Seth, AIMA, whatever, and if you actually manage to get a reply, a response, somebody picks up the phone, they'll then tell you to email. If you email, the email response is ring.
Call, yeah.
Yes. So there's nothing you can do. Nothing anybody can do except just
wait, right.
Or wait. And if you're looking for a renewal, it should come up online anyway on your account. And you can do that 3 months before it expires.
Yeah. And is it right? I mean, just to be a bit...
Mine expires next month. I've received nothing and am told nothing's going to happen until next month.
But you won't receive anything. You have to go online and book your appointment. And you can do that 3 months before. Yeah.
Well, I attempted that and it just didn't do it. So
yeah,
this is part of the confusion. Yeah,
it is.
What I've observed is that Portugal, or the agencies, the government, the IMT, they say, oh, this isn't working, tear it apart, shut it down. So, well, what are you going to do instead? And they go, we haven't worked that out yet.
Yeah.
And so then there's this huge stall and backlog of cases, in addition to untrained personnel, in addition to not enough staff to begin with, that just creates this huge backlog that seems to be consistent with what Tig is saying too. So yeah, it's just frustrating.
Despite all of that, this is a great place to live. I do find it really important to make that message. And you know, I reassert my 80-20 rule here, is that, you know, Portugal is 80% awesome, if not more. And then, of course, in any life situation, 20% of your life might be admin and chores and that sort of thing. And then when you get into that long grass here in Portugal, that 20%, it can seem like 80% of your life is, or more, is dogged and undermined by this awful, unholy situation. Darren has been in touch as well with IMT. I just kept spamming them with emails until they couldn't ignore me anymore. And if everyone does that, I mean, that's not going to be helping them. It's going to help you, isn't it? But it's just going to make their jobs more miserable. I mean, in their position, it must be awful. It's bad enough for the individual trying to engage with them. Do you think, from a Brit-centric point of view, Tig, that the Brits just aren't very important in the scheme of things as well, from their point of view?
I don't know if new immigrants bring in more money.
Right. Okay. We don't know what's motivating it, really. I suppose, do we? Whether it's political, emotional, whatever it is.
I think new immigrants bring in, you know, they're possibly because they've always been processed. The new ones, and of course they then buy houses and whatever. And I think they've had to prioritise simply because they haven't got the staff. So
yeah,
you know. But I do have a few things I need to say, Carl, actually.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay. Let me just do a few more comments that have come in, and then just go. Sorry, I didn't realise you would be hitting the ground running with a list of things already this year, but thank you. I had a job once where my workload was doubled, so I stopped taking phone calls to cope. Very stressful times, yeah. Tig, we cannot renew online right now. Not available. We did reach someone by phone, and we were told we must make an appointment, which is not available. Vicious cycles, like the movie Brazil, isn't it? Because I moved here primarily for the weather. I remember that when I'm not happy with the processes here. You've got to have a strategy like that. You do have to have a mindful strategy for dealing with stuff. And who better than James to be here to talk about that? Sorry, your list, Tig, go ahead.
It's like, but I've always said that, haven't I? Whenever I've come on, is that Seth, AIMA, whatever the flipping label, it's just a constant battle. You just have to keep going and going and going and hope. But for anybody that has been in Portugal prior to 2021, a UK national, the email address that you need to do is brexit@aima.pt. Okay.
I'll put that in the chat.
Brexit @ama.pt. But fairly certain this SEF one doesn't work anymore, but it might. Some, people are saying yes, some are saying no. So, okay. The other thing is we've got a new ambassador. Lisa Bandari starts this month. So that's that. And something very, very important. A few things that are actually voting rights. Any UK national that has been in Portugal for more than 15 years was instantly negated from actually voting in the UK anymore. Okay. Now, as of from the 24th of January, I think it's the 24th of January, we now have that right back. Okay. However, you do need to register on gov.uk to be able to do that. And you can do that from the 16th of January. So that's huge news. That's huge news because so many, 60% of UK nationals in the EU couldn't vote in the referendum because of that.
Okay.
Huge. Absolutely huge. Any UK national that has been told at health centres they're not getting treatment because they're British, if they could contact me, please.
And how do they do that? Take in British in Portugal on Facebook?
Or Tig James.
Okay.
Just go to Tig James on Messenger. That'd be brilliant.
Right.
Also, of course...
Tig James MBE on Messenger, I think you meant to say there. Have you changed it on Facebook yet?
I've changed it nowhere. I can't make my mind up. I can't make my mind up what I want to do.
Done on Facebook. When are you allowed to do it? Do you have to wait until the moment of the investment? You can do it. You are now MBE now. Okay.
Do it now, yeah. I can't quite. It's like I said, you've already got letters after my name that I'd never use. So I just don't. I don't know. Anyway, I might get my head around that one day when I'm not doing anything else.
Okay.
But yeah,
first world problems.
ETA, for non-UK nationals wanting to travel to the UK.
Yes.
That's coming in this year. So they need any non-UK nationals who want to go to the UK have to get an ETA, an ETA. If you're a UK national living in the UK and you want to come to the EU, you have to get an ETIAS. Okay. As of from 2025, you're going to need an ETIAS. So next year, you're going to need that. So,
not excellent, but thank you for telling us.
Yeah, because people aren't going to know. They're not going to know.
They're not.
They're going to rock up at airports and they're going to go, "Where's your ETIAS? Where's your ETA? Your ETA?" And they're going to go, "What?" And we know it's going to happen. It always does.
Yes. Yeah.
It's it's just one of those things, isn't it?
My goodness. Okay, but hopefully they will be delayed in implementing that. If they're short-staffed and things aren't working very well and they can't process all their backlog, they're going to tell the EU, aren't they? We can't do ETIAS yet. Kick it down the street.
No, it's an EU-wide thing.
Oh, okay. Carry on.
EU-wide. So no, that's about a lot, really. And I would like, obviously, next month I'll remind people of these. Keep reminding people of these things.
Well, I will segment this. I will make this a little mini update from the show so that it can be shared wherever is useful. And we do love your lists. And on that note of the new ambassador, here she is. A change of His Majesty's ambassador to Portugal, Lisa Bandari. Ms. Lisa Bandari has been appointed His Majesty's ambassador to the Portuguese Republic. It sounds so great when it's put like that. In succession to Mr. Chris Sainty, Ms. Lisa Bandari has been appointed then and will take up her appointment during this month, January 2024.
You just hold there, Carl. Just hold there.
Yeah.
Because can you see, I when I looked at this, no, go back up.
Oh, back up. There.
No, go down. Sorry,
okay.
Go down. Stop. No.
The CV.
Yeah, just stop.
Yeah.
Don't move.
Just stop. Okay. Yeah.
Freeze.
Can you?
Sorry.
Can you say 2017 to 2020?
Yes.
Department
for exiting the EU. I didn't know there was such a thing.
That was called DEXU. Okay.
Of course it was.
DEXU. And it was the department dealing with all the Brexit issues for UK nationals. They had to, in the end, set up a department. They realised that they couldn't just wing it. Okay, they set up DEXU. But I think it's, for me personally, I just find it interesting that we've got somebody who was the deputy director of it coming to Portugal.
That sounds good to me. You're going to be on the same page, aren't you? Yeah,
absolutely. I am so pleased that at least she will have, quite a lot of understanding of and knowledge. I hope knowledge of the law and what should and shouldn't happen. And yeah, I'm really pleased with that.
She's also, or was, the Deputy Director for Ongoing EU Business and Third Country Preparation. So well placed for this. But between then and now, the FCDO Deputy Director for India and Her Majesty's Government India Coordinator. So a big hitter coming over to the Portuguese Republic on the orders of His Majesty. That sounds amazing, doesn't it? What's been going on there. A few more comments coming in, and we'll cheer ourselves up with a bit of some more of the cheerful news from the Good Morning Portugal homepage. Andy saying, would I have traded getting the tax relief benefits then for the aggravation of getting residency now, he wonders. And my husband, says Pam, can't get a UK e-hit card, even though he has an S1, can't get any help or explanation from the NHS. Any tips on that, Tig?
Yes, needs to contact the NHS overseas line. Just go Google it, NHS overseas line, and they'll sort out your e-hic for you. And
in quite a good way, by the sound of it. It sounds like you have good feedback from that service.
Yeah, we all get them from there. Yeah, it's actually it's called a G-hic now.
Of course it is. It needs to go through a name change, just
progressing through the alphabet.
Yeah,
like storms do. Right. Okay. All right. And what is that for people who don't know? What is a G-hic then?
Basically, it's for people because, of course, the e-hic that we had meant that we could go to, as EU citizens, as we had e-hics, which meant we could go to any EU country and walk into any, sort of like the country's health service and get free healthcare. Mm-hmm. Of course, now not being EU citizens, we can't do that anymore unless you were resident in the EU. And now you can actually get G-hics, and then you can now go to other countries in the EU and still have that provision.
And that is in an emergency. I mean, you can't just go abroad and have some healthcare.
It's like
a health holiday for a minute, but this is in an emergency. If you need
that,
it's
car accidents, appendicitis. So
okay, G-hic. Then he's contacted them. Apparently, they said he needs to provide more information, but won't tell him what. Okay, so I think perhaps British in Portugal, for anyone who's been in a similar situation, they can get the necessary, or Pam can get the necessary intel.
It's all on the announcements, stroke features, depending which device that you're using in those in British in Portugal on Facebook. But just ring somebody else, just ring back.
You rock. Thank you, Tig. So just a little bit of a palate cleanser then over on goodmorningportugal.com. I love discovering this Quinta dos Vales website here, which has got some really, they don't just flogging, well, of course they're flogging wine, but they've got some very educational stuff about wine. I'd never heard of budding before. They talk about budding there. First snow of the year, that's fallen up in Serra da Estrela sort of district. And you can find out more with some lovely pictures if you go to goodmorningportugal.com. And I'll just share with you the president's high hopes as we close out the show. Oh, no, I won't. I will do that, but I'll tell you there is a new Iberian wolf and lynx project, which I'm always glad to see because it gives me a chance to put a picture up of the lovely Iberian lynx there. And then finally, the Portuguese president, said that he hopes Portugal will do not more better, but more and better in 2024 this year. The Portuguese will choose in 2024 which paths they want to take and with what political support. In other words, they will say which architecture they want to build in order to underpin the fundamental guarantee of an approved state budget of a stabilized economic and social situation, said Marcelo. The president pointed out that in 2024, there will also be the European Parliament elections and the US presidential elections, and he predicted that it will be a remarkable year in many ways, not least because in the global world, the challenges of some are, to a large extent, the challenges of all. It's interesting and quite presidential note to finish the show on.
He was high.
High on hope, we hope. And Interestingly, there, yes, he's mentioning that there are going to be 40 elections, I think, this year around the world, changes of government, and in many of the significant world-leading countries as well. So it will be an interesting year. Shall we finish? I don't know if I probably asked you this, what you hope for the... Yeah, I did. I remember now, James, for the new year, but I haven't had a chance to ask you that. I've got a sneaking suspicion, Tig James, it might be something to do with how well the Portuguese government deals with Brits here in Portugal. What are your hopes as we finish then for 2024?
My hopes is that, you know, that they deal with UK nationals particularly, as well as foreigners properly. They get the health service at least sorted somehow, because people are really suffering dreadfully with that. And, you know, that's why I'd like anybody to contact me who's British, if they could, and just see. But I mean, it has been highlighted. I've highlighted it with the British government, and I've highlighted it with the EU Commission as well already. So it's in writing and it's already being discussed. So, but as we said with the cards, you know, with our residency cards, I've done all that repeatedly and still nothing happened. And it's like, it's sovereignty, isn't it? Each country can decide how they spend their resources, how they do it. And if there's, and again, in Portugal, if there's no consequence, you had it. If there's no lever.
Well, fingers crossed that you get what you're wishing for there. You've been amazing, both of you, this morning. Thank you, James. I think we've successfully launched our Elephant in the Room Portuguese book to help people. And Tig, congratulations once again. Tig James, MBE, everybody. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. And we'll see you tomorrow. A little bit of singing for you now, celebrating the Day of the Kings. Ciao, ciao, everyone.
Bom dia, Portugal!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.